Wait, where's my... Did I go live? Okay, here I am. Oh, damn. This mic is not working. What? I'm not opening the door. Oh, here we go. Let me get back over here. How do I add a camera? Jesus. This thing is being annoying. Okay, we're about to get started. Yeah. It's gonna be good. It's gonna be good. I'm trying to get it. Audio, yes. Video, no. Okay, I'm trying to get this screen share going. Where the frick is this? Oh my god. That is not what I wanted. There we go. Jesus fuck. This thing is like so annoying. Google Chrome, shape. Whatever. Square? Yeah, that's fine. Now, how do I get a camera? What? Oh my god. This thing is like so annoying. Okay. Okay, here we go. All right. I'm gonna get it together. I'm getting it together. I'm getting it together. Okay, so today we're going to get into, let me see. Okay, so let me switch over. Today we're going to get into social engineering because it's just an interesting topic, let's be honest. Okay. Hey guys. Okay, so I'm finally live on YouTube. Today we're going to be talking about social engineering. So I'm going to be explaining the process and what social engineering is. And I wanted to talk about this because it's one of my favorite topics. Number one, it's one of my favorite topics. And number two, I think the whole situation in the France riots, the whole dynamic going on there in the narrative is really, really good example of social engineering. And I'm going to explain why. So I was on Instagram, talking, and I saw a video about, the French people defending themselves with sticks and boards. They don't play baseball, so they're not gonna have baseball bats. They're not gonna have baseball bats, okay? So they are in the streets defending themselves with the boards, and I made a comment about, wouldn't it be great to have a gun to defend yourself? And a couple of French people were like, oh, we don't want your guns in America. Oh, keep your guns over there. Oh my God. They were like actually legitimately like offended. Hey everybody. Thanks everybody for coming in. They were actually legitimately offended that I would bring up guns. Yeah, I would bring that up. How offensive. That is offensive. So I was just like, okay, this is like mind-blowing, like how these people are going to act like this. So I thought it would be a good time, to actually explain what social engineering is and explore how a group of people known for, thousands of years of warfare just suddenly are totally bitch made. They have baguettes. They don't need weapons. Yeah. Dunking on the French is like it's so difficult. It's like almost impossible to do. But somehow we'll push through, audience. We'll push through. God, I feel like such an asshole. Oops, wrong comment. Okay. When people fear their government, yes. There's tyranny. When the government fears the people, there is liberty. Well, we already know that they don't actually, like, in France, they don't actually care. Like, that's not what they do. Where is it going? Okay. Okay. Let's get into this. Because this is a really important thing. I feel like when people can understand social engineering and how it works, I feel like that it would awaken them to just how society actually functions and stop, what the hell? Oh, my mic's not working. It would stop them from taking everything for granted. Thanks. All these difficulties. All these technically difficulties. Come on, Mike. Come on. There's somebody. Come on, Mike. Let's go. Jeez. This is ridiculous. There, I got a real mic now. Okay, so let's get into it. Oh my God. Just ridiculous. Drink every time, Layla says. Okay. We always remind the French of the wars they lost. I know, seriously. I mean, how could you not? So, let's get into it. I don't know if you guys have been following the whole French situation, but it's been kind of a bad thing. I don't know if you're familiar with the idea of like open society and the fact that they have this, like, I'm not going to say the trigger words because there's this theory about replacement. I'll just say that. I'll say it that way. So it's not real. I'm not supporting it, but there is a theory. And it's just, you have a bunch of people like storming borders and coming into the country in different countries, particularly like, Europe and America. Really, really important for people to do that for whatever reason. So to start off, try not to say okay. To start off, let's look at this clip. Just to recap so you guys get an idea of what's been going on in France. Pretty intense. Why does an auto... Like, they're legitimately gunning down bros that are like mostly peaceful. Yes. Thank you. Mostly peaceful. Yes. It's mostly peaceful. And then we got these people, these lovely people, sitting here having their dinner. I mean, I'm just like, whoa. Self-preservation does not exist, I'm guessing. Did they make Lori? No, stop. Did they make Lori's life fair? No, this is equity. So, I saw this video. They're stopping, essentially they're trying to stop rioting.
Wesh, guettez le action de Sevran. Au nom de Dieu, le action de Sevran, elle a brûlé. Wallah, c'est super chaud. Wallah, c'est chaud, wesh. Au nom de Dieu. Ah non, c'est déniqué à Sevran. Wallah, c'est déniqué à Sevran.
Wesh. Oh putain, il glisse le sang. Wesh.
Wesh, guettez le action de Sevran. Au nom de Dieu, le action de Sevran, elle a brûlé. Wallah, c'est super chaud. Wallah, c'est chaud, wesh. Au nom de Dieu. Ah non.
Okay, so I hope that's a little good, like a good little primer of what's been taking place because, this has been so bad for the people and it's just, a random thing. Honestly, it's not staged or anything, okay? Yeah. He was shot. I call him French Floyd. I didn't make that up. That was James Lindsay. Riots are very convincing in changing minds. Yeah. So it's incredible to see. It's incredible to see. It's beautiful and tragic. But, the main issue here is not the fact that they are rioting. It's the fact that people are racist, and we're going to see some examples of the beautiful explanations. So when I saw that post of the guy like with the boards and attacking people, I was like, "Oh my God. How is this okay?" I was like, wouldn't guns be helpful at this point? And then this guy commented about, I was like, it's pathetic to ban guns. And this guy's like, how many home invasions have been stopped by guns? Like, they're useless. Like, what do guns do? Guns don't do anything. And then one dude, he got upset. Where is it? One dude got upset and was like, here it is. Don't push your American agenda. We don't care and never want to be like you, Yankees. Go home. Because, threats of violence still not going to get them to want to advocate to be able to protect themselves. Like, literally. Like, literal violence against them. They still don't want to advocate for their own protection. You can't tell me that's not social engineering. You can't tell me that's not a deliberate attempt to change society and manipulate the group of people to adopt life. Like, what? How do you get rid of, how do you actually get rid of someone's self-preservation instincts? Like, how do you get rid of that? And the truth is, it's just through social engineering, but people don't really understand or pay attention to the characteristics of it. They don't really recognize when it's happening. They just sort of think it's the new thing. So when they hear guns, they're like, oh, it's the children getting slaughtered in schools. Like, bro, there's a lot of uses for that. But it's just like, the insanity of somebody who just sees people defending themselves with boards, and then their response is, oh, we don't want to actually protect ourselves. Actually seeing these people rioting and having guns. We saw the video. They have guns. Using guns, shooting in the street. And this man's response is, get these people's response is, get these guns away from us. And how many home invasions have been stopped by guns? Like, are you kidding? That's like, no, we still don't want it. Get it away from us. No matter what you do, give it away from us. Like, what was his last comment? Oh, yeah. He gets like hung up on the school shootings. Just like, what? How is this like, this is so disturbing. So disturbing on so many levels. I wish I had my other monitor so I can see the comments higher. This is what is scary. There are people that are okay with, oops, you will own nothing and like it. I know. Seriously, they are. Oh, that's so accurate. It's purposeful implementation of these tactics to have society to purge and center human agent units to weed out bad humans. Hopefully we can weed them out, because I don't want them around. They're not good. Under FBI surveillance, listen, that's just a conspiracy, okay? That's just a conspiracy. They weren't under SSRI drugs, warp your perception. No, they were not under, no. They were lone gunmen. No gunmen. Stop. Okay, the British have no guns. 58,000 stabbings. 16,000 in London alone. In the U.S., the average gun violence number is 11K. More people died from hammers. It's just funny how they keep hyperfixating on this whole gun thing. They're just like, get rid of them, get rid of them, get rid of them. Because, it's almost as if globalists do not want you to be armed and have the ability to defend yourself. It's just, I know that's so that sounds crazy, I know. But it's almost as if that's what they want to do. Like, they don't want people to have the ability to defend themselves. So, now that we looked at that, more conspiracies from Leo. The NY Times ran a story a few years back about 17 different shootings involved. These are conspiracies, YouTube, okay? I do not support these conspiracies. These are all conspiratorial. Even if it's a real article, it's a conspiracy. Stop. We have to stop. It's all lone gunmen. There's no. Okay, drink. So let's get into this whole definition of social engineering so we can start breaking it down. Because I think when you understand that all of these things are sort of orchestrated at some level, all of these things just don't happen naturally and organically. They're actually things that are well planned out and well articulated and strategized. There's actually very few things in our society that aren't diligently orchestrated and planned out. People think that things just happen. They think that they just sort of come spontaneously. And unfortunately, that's not the case, because we have things like social engineers. So social engineering is not a topic that a lot of people are familiar with. And that's because it's pretty suppressed as a topic. It's not really discussed. It's not really covered as a topic. It's just sort of there. But essentially, Social engineering is the top down effort to influence particular attitudes and social behaviors on a large scale. Okay. So it's top down, meaning people at the top strategize and plan things out, and then they start implementing to see it trickle through. Most often undertaken by governments, but also carried out by media, academia, or private groups in order to produce desired characteristics in a target population. Social engineering can also be understood philosophically as a deterministic phenomenon where the intentions and goals of the architects of the new social construct are realized. Yeah. Oh, okay. Yes. Simping for equity. Thank you for the super chat, Alan. Simping for equity. Yes. Thank you. We're all about simping for equity. You guys are hilarious. Okay. So, social engineering. Here's what I found. Oh my God, my watch. Social engineering, again, it's not something that's discussed. It's not something that's in the like common vocabulary. There's social engineering when it comes to hacking and hackers and extracting data from people. That's easy. You can find tons of books on it. You can find tons of things on it. But the idea of social engineering from a top-down effort to direct and control behavior of society, there's not really many results on Google. There's not much out there. Honestly, I wish I remember which book I originally read when I was younger that talked about social engineering, but right now at this point, my watch is going off. But now at this point, it's sort of like scrubbed. Yeah, they're listening to me, but that's okay. Oh man. Okay, so basically, decision making can affect the safety and survival of billions of people. The scientific theory expressed by German sociologist Ferdinand, I'm not even pronounce his last name, in his study, The Present Problems of Social Structure, proposes that society can no longer operate successfully using outmoded methods of social management. You just can't. To achieve the best outcomes, all conclusions and decisions must use the most advanced technique and include reliable statistical data which can be applied to a social system. So, essentially, their argument is that people need to be controlled. The decisions and direction of society at this scale needs to be data driven. It's almost like what they're doing, the Great Reset and AI and all the things. They're using data to figure out how to push society and control it. So this is something that's like pretty old. It's from like the 1899s. And there's also books on like portions of it. Like propaganda is one portion of social engineering. It's not all of it, because propaganda has to be part of a much larger narrative. Like why are you creating propaganda? Because there's a group, and in this Wikipedia, they're just basically saying that social engineering campaigns usually occur in countries with authoritarian governments. So if you're authoritarian, you want to push a narrative and control society. And a lot of what we see in like communist societies and those movements, those reimagining movements of society, like where so many people die, that's a good example of social engineering. They use different tactics. Yeah, pretty bad. Okay, so there's a bunch of examples of it just happening. And then there's a few noted people. So Engineering the Human Soul. There's also a book on crystallizing public opinion. That's a really good one on just sort of interesting introduction to it. So we'll get into this. So this is essentially something, again, this is something that's a much broader topic, but you have to understand that they engineer society with the propaganda, with the narratives they push, with the media they put out. All of these things trickle down into it. Propaganda is more just the like mechanism to push it out, but this whole social engineering starts with having an agenda, having a clear game plan, involving like think tanks and all of these strategy, all these World Economic Forum. Those are the places where the agenda sort of gets laid out, and then you use different things to engineer the society to accept it. Oh, that's an interesting. Okay. Let's not forget social engineering is usually a tool of eugenics. Yeah. It all feeds into each other. It's all this strict control and power grab of society. Okay. So this goes into, social engineering, all of it. Okay. And so this is an interview with Bernays, his theory of the role of public relations in society, since Ewan was a member of the intelligent few, because again, they are very strict on who gets to have a say and who can be actually right and wrong. Bernays felt that he could be frank about the field of elitism. In his book PR, Social History of Spin, Ewan guides the destiny of society, writes, as a member of the intellectual elite who guides the destiny of society, the public relations professional, Bernays explained aims his craft at a general public that is essentially and unreflexively reactive. Obviously. Working behind the scenes, out of the public view, the public relations expert is an applied social scientist, educated to employ an understanding of the sociology, psychology, social psychology, and economics to influence and direct public attitudes. Throughout our conversation, Bernays conveyed his hallucination of democracy, a highly educated class of opinion-molded statisticians is continually at work. I thought it was statisticians. Maybe it's a error. Analyzing the social terrain and adjusting the mental scenery from which the public mind, with its limited intellect, derives its opinions. I love it. You guys need to understand propagandists, all these people, they view humanity with such disdain. Oh, shit. Another super chat. Do you have thoughts on the shadow self that Carl Jung talked about in our society now? Oh, the shadow self. That's interesting. I don't really have thoughts on it, but we can look it up in a second. What that means. That's really interesting. Yeah, Carl Jung. I feel like Carl Jung was the one. He figured it out. He actually had really good theories about things. I feel like everybody else was sort of just kind of too freakish. But yeah, the shadow self. Okay. Wasn't there an American example in advertising, an academic hired by advertising companies to convince people to buy products? Yeah, there is an example, and I do need to bring that up. I remember that example. My mom actually talks about that example all the time, where in the 1950s they did a study, and essentially they could pinpoint every single product every single thing that these people had in their refrigerators in the 1950s based on, a few factors because they were so tightly controlled and things are so tightly engineered. Oh, okay. I'll add that word to my vocabulary. Statisticians. It sounds like I have a list. Yeah, let me look it up really quick. I've never seen this word before, literally. Statistician. Okay. Statistician. Nice word. This is a good ad. A person who uses a carefully planned strategy to achieve a specific end. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for that. Yes, Bernays did get people to eat bacon and eggs for breakfast. Yep. Bernays is responsible for so much. He's so brilliant. I'm gonna do like a live on him for like hours. Tac tat Tadic. Tadic specialist. Oh, okay. Tadic. I get it. Thank you guys. I've literally never seen that word before. That was the only good thing he ever did. Yes, I agree. I totally agree. Okay. Okay. So essentially, obviously, these social engineers believe that the elites should control society. They should be the ones who direct society. And this goes in line with all the Marxist ideology, the woke left, the appeals to authority that we see, like basically from the left, where everything is all about, oh, I am the science, I'm not a biologist. I can't tell what a woman is. Like this sort of insane, this sort of insane pandering to authority figures, like as if you need to be granted the ability to think and recognize reality. But right up to the end, Bernays held fast to his belief that leadership would come from an elite, technocratic few who would shape the masses' reality and thus produce a better society. Wow. I feel like, how did he know? This must be a conspiracy because there's no way these people are like related to each other, right? 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 Okay, today Bernays' elitism sounds out of date, even dangerously anti-democratic. This is not out of date. This is literally what they're doing right now. This is especially so when we are told that our opinions matter, that social movements can use contemporary media to spread their message, and that we can finally speak truth to power. Even in the 1990s, when Ewan interviewed Bernays, the old man's ideas seemed offensive. This dude is like delusional. He's literally delusional. Oh, it's all about getting the common man out of the drudgery. Okay, these engineers build society, given the same balance power of engineering. That's interesting. Okay. The most direct expression of this engineering of society mindset that appeared in the early 1900s could not be clearer. The title of social engineer in the late 19th and early 20th centuries, a new wave of experts emerged. They sought facts, spread middle class white American values, and worked to make everything more efficient. They placed expertise and elite knowledge above mass democratic decision making, because you can't trust the masses. Their use of the title social engineer helped them gain legitimacy by appropriating the successes of civil and mechanical engineering. They argued that scientific thinking could be applied to society. Social engineers of this period came in three varieties. There were social reformers, social gospel Christian activists, and early sociologists who sought to reform society. There were management theorists who were studying ways to manage workers in industrial capitalism. And later, there were public relations specialists who mixed the language of social reform with the elitism of management and took to new mass media to shape society as a whole. This is the group we call mass social engineers. So there we are. So basically, they justify things that we need to control the masses, we need to give them structure, we need to help direct them because we're experts. We know what we're doing, we have the data, and we're just going to make a better society for people. Yeah. WEF. We need to force people to change their behavior. They're not even trying to hide it anymore. No, they're not. They're not. They're not at all. Okay. So there's a couple books. So this is a really good article. I'm not going to go through all of it, but it's a really good article and one of the few articles that goes in depth in terms of the scope of it. So this goes into public relations, how it evolves, and how we have the press and the publicists and all of these people moving things around. And at first when it started, they just were trying to scrape things together, but the clumsiness of early publicists quickly gave way to a more disciplined, indeed engineering-like approach in the form of a new field of public relations led by Ivy Lee, Doris Fleischman, and Edward Bernays. Their new field of public relations borrowed the language of the social reformers and managerialists. One of the borrowed terms was social engineering, for example. In a chapter, The Engineering of Consent, great book, Bernays describes public relations as the broad social engineering process. Like the social reformers and managerialists, the mass social engineers recognize the rhetorical power of claiming to do engineering. Now it's out of date. Like they don't even talk about that. They're just they've gotten rid of it largely. So it goes into how we put this through. We should see to it that in all matters the public learns the truth, but we should take special pains to emphasize those facts which show that we are doing our job as best we can and which we can create the idea that we should be believed in. We should get so many good facts, so many illuminating facts that before the public that they will not magnify the bad. There will always be some bad facts in every business as long as human nature is frail. You know, spinning stories, reframing things essentially, like we're going to focus on the good, dismiss the bad. Right now in our society, as we can see, it's just like outright manipulation and exclusion of information and just, I don't want to say lying, but you know. And early on, this is really early on, they recognize the importance of mass communication and how important it is and how it could be used for good or evil to promote or subvert democracy, and that as a result, mastering the techniques of communication for promoting socially constructive ends would be necessary for the maintenance of democratic societies. If done right, the consent engineers, doesn't that sound like someone's torture label? Can become an invisible government, like a true ruling power of our country. Isn't that great? Aren't you guys put to rest? Like, don't you feel so reassured that there's an invisible government that's helping to manufacture consent in our society so we can have a real democracy? I feel like that's amazing. I feel like it's amazing. Thank God we don't live in a democracy. I know. I'm so glad we don't live in a democracy. Oh, yeah. It is an interesting definition. Undermine the power and authority of an established system or institution. Yeah, we have so much subversion happening. And mass social engineering, again, it's not some conspiracy because a lot of people are like, oh, there's no one doing this. It's not happening. Mass social engineering is every bit as practical as bridge building. Just as a civil engineer must analyze every element of the situation before he builds a bridge, Bernays wrote, so the engineer of consent, in order to achieve a worthwhile social objective, must operate from a foundation of soundly planned action. Okay, top down. And like any engineer, the mass social engineer has to apply science. Fleischmann clarified the engineering approach, arguing for methodology that public relations professionals continue to use. To this day, research, that's huge, hugely critical. A lot of the Marxist and the whole DEI and things in schools, they do a lot of surveys. They do a lot of data gathering. Like, gathering data is so essential because you cannot tailor your message to people to get them to act and respond the way you want if you don't understand their motivations, their pains, their mindsets, their ideas, things like that. If you don't know what they want, and you can't really sort of, fit things into the box to make it appealing to them. Plan, communicate, evaluate. And in the 1935 speech, Fleischmann called for the women's fashion industry to adopt this method for a more efficient propaganda program that could communicate the latest fashions with engineering exactness. With this as a basis, she informs her audience, you will set the keynote for the public. You will eliminate waste and enable yourself really to avail yourself of the tools and techniques of propaganda without loss, with fullest efficiency, and ultimately with the wholehearted approval of the public and the individual industries. So there you go. It's amazing. And it's mind-boggling to me how it's not really discussed at all or acknowledged. It's sort of just still this fringe thing that people don't really think is happening, which is kind of strange, which is kind of bizarre. Okay. Hello. Hi. So yeah. This all relates back to how there's literally people being confronted with guns in the streets, having to defend themselves with boards, like large boards. And there's still people who are fine with simply just, really going to advocate that they don't have any means to defend themselves. So it's truly terrifying how these engineers have moved society. Layla needs an on-air sign. Oh my God. No, people don't care about that. So yeah, this is it's amazing. It's amazing to see. I hope I'm going to break down more and more and do a series on just social engineering, because I think if we have this in the vocabulary, have this in the public awareness more and more, people can really start to re-examine their behaviors, knowing that there is influence on it. They think it's just, an ad. It's just a TV ad or something, or a music video, or whatever it is, something irrelevant. something irrelevant, but it's more insidious. It's more pervasive than that. It's not a simple thing. So, but I just couldn't even like, I just couldn't believe. I mean, after seeing this video, after this, they're just trying to stop him from running into the stores. And after being in a situation where you have to defend yourself with boards, you're going to still fight for your disarmament. Like, fight for the ability not to, actually defend yourself with people who have guns, literal guns. Anyway, so I think I'm going to jump off with that. And we'll get back to doing more regularly scheduled lives because I have a lot to catch up on. I want to do some locals lives because those are super fun, and start covering a lot more content. I have some content on replacement. I'm not even going to say the rest of the keywords, but I have a piece of propaganda that I reviewed, and I think it's really, really interesting. So I'm going to be releasing that video. It's on the similar topic. But it's so demoralizing to see that people are just so destroyed, demoralized, that they will advocate for not even having the right to defend themselves. Makes no sense. So I hope you guys have a great evening. It's Friday, and we need to do a lot more lives. So I will talk to you all later. I hope you guys check me out on locals. I hope you all have, freedom is not the norm. At least they're not fighting for a world without boards. Yeah, at least there's that. At least they want their kitchen knives, I'm assuming. Oh my God. Yeah, so funny. So I will talk to you guys later. Thanks. I'm going to do actually the shadow thing. I'll do a video on that. Alan, I'll do a video on that because that's a good topic. But I'll talk to you guys later. Thank you so much. Have a good night. Have a good weekend. And happy Freedom Month.